Hi, I'm Kathleen McElwaine, and this is a video that will show you how to transfer all of my patterns to watercolor paper. First of all, you turn the paper over so that the pattern is face down, and you cover the back of the pattern with graphite pencil, just the way you see me doing it there. It doesn't have to be real dark, but the darker it is, the darker it'll transfer and you'll be able to see the image more clear. And then when you're finished doing that, the whole area is covered. You can hold it up to the light to make sure that it is fully covered. Then you want to put it on top of the side of the watercolor paper that you want to paint on. And if that's fluid 100, which is the paper that I sell, the 6x8 sheets, it's the side that does not have as much tooth. It just looks a little more smooth and feels a little more smooth. But then you put a piece of tape at the top of your pattern so that it'll hold it onto the paper. You don't want that moving around and having to, you can't line them up again. So you'd have to just erase and start over again. So don't try to hold the paper and do this, especially a pattern that has as much on it as this one does. And just a few comments that I want to make about the patterns. Consider it a sketch. Don't think of it as being exact at all, because they are not. I sketch my paintings to start with, or I start out with a watercolor brush. And so regardless, you just don't have any real distinct edges. That's just not my style of painting, and it's not what I teach you either. Though I find that a lot of students are able to do a beautiful job of very clean edges. Um, it's just not one of those things that's ever been my forte with it when it comes to watercolor painting. Um, I learned to paint oil paint and watercolor painting in a very impressionistic style. Usually they don't refer to it that way with watercolor paint, but my instructor did, and he said that I learned the same way that Rembrandt learned to paint in watercolor. And if you go back and look at sketches that Rembrandt um, did in planning out his large oil paintings, which we have lots of those to look at, you can see that it really does look like a very loose sketch. Um, and he did not transfer those sketches over to his canvases, but he did repeat it. He did create it again. There's always some variations in what he does, even the way people are standing, but he did sketches first that way with his watercolor paint, or some people call it ink. But anyway, there our transfer is on the watercolor paper and ready. And so now we're ready to paint. Thank you.